Good day, everyone, and welcome to next in our series of chats with local East Anglian business owners. Today, I'm talking to Cass and Rich from Cheddar Creative. Good afternoon, Cass and Rich. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
I'm very good, thank you very much. Thanks for asking, Cass. Yeah, really excited to be talking to you guys today to find out more about your business. And thank you so much for taking the time out to chat to us today. I know you're busy. So look, why don't we get started? Tell me all about your business.
Well, we cover, we cover quite a lot. So we're a creative agency. I guess we specialize more in kind of web design, UX design, and the overall brand strategy. So we've kind of moved more upstream as time has gone by, and we look at the mission, the values, the purpose, and really setting that strategy, and then carrying that through into whatever services need to be delivered. But on the service delivery side, I mean, video production, digital marketing, social media, web design, copywriting, I mean, the list goes on, like anything creative, basically. Okay,
so you're a one-stop agency as such?
Yeah, full service, yeah, one-stop shop.
So when you talk, I mean, you know, me being a business coach, and clearly, you know, vision, mission, values, purpose, they're all pretty important to business, and that kind of gets lost. So do you help the business owners create that, or do you take stuff that's already created and translate that into meaningful marketing material?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Really,
yeah, it depends
doesn't
on what the client needs. Some of them come to us with a really clear idea of their goals and their mission, and we can just help them with a strategy. And others need more hand-holding, I would say. So it just completely depends on the client and what they need from us.
Depends.
Right. So therefore you can deal with any business at any stage of its growth journey.
Yeah, the stage kind of is the determining factor, because some, like if it's a startup, well, I mean, it really is a mixed bag, because some startups already have a very clear idea of what their kind of mission and purpose is. And nowadays, particularly where values and purpose have really come to the fore, a lot of new companies already understand that needs to be embedded in their DNA. And it's actually the more kind of established businesses that might have been around for, I don't know, decades or, you know, longer, who the whole idea of mission and purpose is now quite a new thing for them. So they're now having to almost reverse engineer, or kind of, who are we? You know, we know what we do, we've been doing it for decades, but how do we actually translate that as a kind of a why, I guess, like why should people do business? So yeah, it really depends. Some people are quite clued up about it already, and some people need a bit of help.
You just got to love Simon Sinek, haven't you? He started a revolution. He did. He started a revolution.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant thinking. So that's interesting. I mean, the other factor is amongst that is, I suppose, is businesses that started out with a very clear vision, mission, and purpose and why, and then by the time they got 5-6 years in, they've forgotten all about it. So it's just almost like re-establishing that, isn't it?
Yeah, and everything that's happened recently, you know, there's been some massive pivots with all the Brexit uncertainty, and then obviously, you know, that pandemic. I don't know if you've heard about the pandemic, but yeah, so some businesses that were very established and were probably very comfortable with their mission, their purpose, their values, the culture, all of that stuff, have now had to actually have a look at that and think, well, is that still relevant in, you know, the new normal? So yeah, and it kind of always should be something that you're going back to, you know, certainly yearly, if not more regularly, just to check in, like, is this still us?
Yeah, no, absolutely agree with that. So how long have you been doing this for then?
Well, the company was set up in 2018 in November.
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Well, you always miss that.
Get your dates right, Cass. Get your dates right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it just kept quiet.
Yeah. Well, the way the years have just flown. I mean, it kind of feels, because I came aboard a little bit later. Cassie had set the company up in 2017. I joined kind of early 2018.
I think that's why I consider it too.
Yeah, well, we didn't really properly get going until around sort of May 2018, because we were just doing other things and talking about what shape the company would take. So it sort of feels like, I guess, spiritually 2018, but technically 2017.
Yeah.
So technically you're right, Cass. That's what he's saying. Technically you're right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so that's not too, you know, too much before the pandemic. It's almost about a year just before the pandemic hit. So that must have been a bit of a challenge for you.
Yeah, it's been a sort of perfect storm, really. I mean, we kind of got off to a flying start, and kind of just landed clients because we didn't do the typical thing of kind of nicking clients from wherever we worked previously. We kind of started from scratch and had to raise that awareness almost from a standing start, and got off to a bit of a flyer, and very much on that sort of growth trajectory, and thought, well, this is quite easy, you know, all this stuff about, oh, you've got to have been going for at least 2 years before you start kind of getting anywhere. And success just sort of seemed to come. And I'd like to think it's because our message was a little bit different to what everyone else was saying. But then, yeah, suddenly like the kind of Brexit thing started to become more like people were actually starting to worry about it. And the more like those dates were set of like, oh, it's going to be Halloween. Oh, it's now going to be December. Oh, it's now going to be January. And every time that date shifted, we just found, well, people were just like, well, we don't know what's going to happen. So let's just wait until the date has come and gone, and then we can get normal service back. And it just got to the point. So like the second year was all very much kind of Brexit affected. And then we just got to the point where people had decided, right, well, it's done, we're out, let's get back on with business. And then the pandemic hit. So it's kind of been this perfect storm. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about how the pandemic has affected us later, perhaps. But yeah, we've had all sorts.
Let's talk about it now. I mean, obviously, it has been a pretty challenging time for most industries out there. I mean, you know, hugely challenging. So, what sort of changes have you seen happen in your industry?
Budget cuts.
Yeah.
Well, big cuts, yeah.
Well, the industry itself, because we're kind of service providers, we're very much affected by our clients, and kind of so it's almost more important like what's happening with their industries. The marketing industry itself, I mean, it's always been quite agile and you know, quite sort of dependent upon technology. So things like video conferencing and stuff like that. Us in particular, we've always been kind of quite small and lean and agile and all the rest of it. So and our clients are all over the place. So kind of video calls, that was nothing new to us. I mean, we didn't really have to change our business model at all. We were already doing a bit of a hybrid of remote working and going into like co-working space. But yeah, when it hit and the first lockdown happened, it was, yeah, same as everyone, I guess, 2 months of the phone didn't ring. It was like everyone had just gone and hidden under their duvet. So we were a bit like, oh, well, do we have a business anymore? You know, we've just weathered this Brexit storm and now there's this. And so we went on to furlough, and, you know, we were really considering, well, what options are there? And then, yeah, it just sort of seemed to be like, ironically, normally July, August, everything goes quiet because of summer holidays. But last year, it was kind of around July time, everything started picking back up again. And with the exception of a couple of weeks over Christmas where it was quiet, we've just been absolutely non-stop. Now, the way we adapted the business model was we started looking at smaller companies who were having to kind of move their services online. So personal trainers who were just working out of gyms and things like that, who suddenly were like, well, I've heard of this thing called Zoom, and apparently I can do online fitness classes, but I don't even have a website, you know, so how can I get people? So we were kind of like, well, okay, well, you know, to build you a really good technology enabled website with Zoom integrations and this, that, and the other, and people are able to book and pay. I mean, traditionally, you're looking at thousands to build something like that. But we had a look at Wix, which is like very much a sort of entry level kind of website, almost sort of do it yourself website builder. And we thought, well, you know, rather than turn our nose up at technology like that, because it is just a tool, we can use that and we can build a website for people that have tiny budgets, like, you know, 500 quid to get a website built, which again, a few years back, we'd have thought, well, we can't do anything for 500 quid really. But we started doing it. And because we were busy and we were, well, just working and putting stuff out there, like portfolio stuff, and sharing some of these websites we built, it just seemed like people really kind of connected with that, and like, well, kind of good on them for helping out smaller businesses. And oh yeah, they're pumping out all this work that looks really good. So the bigger clients then started sniffing around, and some of these smaller guys started coming back to us saying, actually, you've really helped us. You know, we thought we didn't have a business, and actually we're flying now, this online thing, like, yeah, why didn't we discover it years ago? So then it was like, well, can you help us with our social media strategy? And we've got a bit more money to spend now, and we want some really cool videos to be made, and this and this and this. And so that good karma really came back around. So it kind of paid off in the end. But we were worried for a little while about, you know, we almost, are we harming our own business by
Yeah.
kind of slashing rates?
Because we were slashing the rates, but the work wasn't suffering. We were still giving the same quality as we would to a really expensive website. So they were getting very good value for money.
Yes, exceptional value for money.
The interesting thing, there is a philosophy out there called giver's gain.
Yeah.
And what you've kind of described to me is giver's gain in a nutshell. So you gave a lot, but because you were giving a lot, you started gaining a lot in return for what you were giving. So you know, hats off to you to recognise that as an opportunity. I think that's that, you know, that there's a great bit of learning out there for a number of, you know, for a number of business people in terms of, you know, sometimes you can't just be too precious about where you are. You've got to look at where the opportunities are and flex and be agile to take full advantage of them.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think, I mean, I'm not particularly kind of spiritual, and I don't necessarily even buy into the whole karma thing, but I just think if you put yourself out there and you try and make things happen, the universe rewards that. You know, not necessarily immediately, but at some point that will back around.
Yeah. And we realise a lot of our work comes from referrals. So the more work we do and the good work that we put out there, just seems to fuel more work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you start to get the referrals and people recommending you on to others. So you know, are there any sort of positive changes? So you know, obviously one of the positive changes is the fact that you're probably doing more SMEs in your business than what you were previously. Are there any other changes that lockdown sort of kind of forced you to make that you're going to carry forward?
We slashed overheads just as a sort of maybe a bit of a knee jerk, but when the first lockdown happened, well, we couldn't get back into our kind of shared office space. So that, and they were really good. That's Unicorn Studios in Ipswich. They were fairly new themselves. And you would have forgiven them for thinking, well, you know, we need to kind of keep our rents coming in, but they were brilliant and just said, well, look, we'll freeze everything. If you can't actually come in and use the space, you know, we'll just freeze it. And yeah, they've been really good about the whole thing. So that was a expense saved. We kind of downgraded our phone contracts. We'd just come up for like the 2-year renewal. So rather than carrying on and upgrading to the latest iPhone or whatever, we said, well, let's just keep the old phones and go on to like a 30 quid a month plan. So just basic things
Obviously,
to kind
no more entertainment, no more meals out.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Well, that was a big saving. But yeah, so we just kind of cut all unnecessary expense and actually found out, you know, we can kind of operate on a bit of a shoestring, really. And that is why we were able to kind of help smaller clients who could only afford, you know, £500, £1,000 for a website, because we didn't have any overheads that we needed to pass on. And that's kind of been our business model all along. We've never really gone in for, you know, flash company cars and furnished offices and, you know, the ping pong table and all of this kind of stuff, because we just felt like, yeah, it looks great, but clients that are impressed by that are maybe not realizing that they're paying for it. So yeah, we just cut some overheads, and actually it showed us just how lean and kind of how frugally we could actually survive. And even though we're now at a situation where we're doing much better and, you know, probably could buy the football table if we wanted to, we realized, well, we just don't need it.
So are you a big fan of table football, Cass? No, doesn't think you were. No.
We won't be getting the football table, I can tell you that right now.
I had a funny feeling that was not your idea.
It's not even mine. I don't know where it came from.
So look, what now that you know, we're sort of travelling towards some sort of semblance of normality, and we're not quite sure what that normality is truly going to look like, but there's some sort of evidence there's going to be some form of normal. What have you done to prepare your business for the reopening of the economy? Have you done anything, or are you just you're kind of riding a bit of a crest coming out of the reopening?
Yeah, it is something we sort of talk about, kind of always looking ahead. And I think traditionally, you know, the idea of a kind of 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, like that all kind of went out the window. It went out of the window around kind of the Brexit stuff, but we do try to look ahead and plan, but we haven't really had to adapt the business model too much. It's been quite an organic process of, yeah, we started looking at much smaller companies and, you know, trying to sort of do our bit, I suppose, to kind of help the business community. But that has naturally just grown back to a sort of level that we were at before. So it's not like we now have to desperately start chasing after those bigger contracts, because they're sort of coming. And the way we operate, like that whole kind of lean agile thing, well, you know, that wasn't really a certainly wasn't a step change for us. We're already kind of doing it. So, I mean, the only thing really is kind of looking ahead now about potentially recruiting, scaling the team, which is a bit of a conundrum because our business model is very much that kind of hub and spoke, where, you know, we're the kind of hub and we've got all sorts of partners and suppliers that we, I mean, probably half a dozen developers, designers, you know, video. So if we added all those people together and said they were actually all kind of in-house under our roof, we'd probably be the biggest agency in Suffolk. But we don't really operate that way because, well, the pandemic proved if we had, we probably would have ended up making quite a lot of redundancies.
Yeah.
And the fact that we kind of didn't have those overheads really helped us to survive. But it is getting to that almost like that tipping point now where it's like, do we bite the bullet and recruit? And even though that's going a little bit against our kind of hub and spoke model, the hub and spoke model sounds brilliant until you get to a certain point. You almost reach that critical mass.
Yeah, you can't leverage the hub and spoke model, can you?
No.
That's your challenge. So but it's a great challenge to have. So, you know, there's a real success story there in terms of, like, you know, at one point you head in the hands going, what's going to happen here? You took the decision to pivot, to give stuff back, to help small businesses, reducing your overheads to allow you to do it, and then, you know, you've given a lot back, and you're starting to gain from that. You know, the bigger businesses come in, you obviously your revenue is growing to the point where you're now looking to recruit, which is a fabulous story. So it's interesting. What opportunities do you think might be lying out there now that we're coming back in some sort of 7 minutes novel? What opportunities do you think might be out there for businesses now?
I think there's been a lot of lessons learned about doing business virtually. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm so sort of torn with this whole idea. Like, you hear one thing about, oh, people are really missing the office and they're desperate to get back in and have the kind of human interaction. And I think, there's probably a lot of people out there that have that. I think mostly people with kids that are fed up with the homeschooling. But I also think there's a lot of people that just think, do I really miss those people that I'm kind of forced to get along with? And they're not necessarily people that I've chosen to be like friends with. So I think there'll be a lot of people that think, actually, working from home, having my kitchen and my, you know, my creature comforts around me. So I think I'd like to think businesses will now have that trust that people can work from home. So I mean, but that's kind of been covered ad nauseum, I guess, in the media. I think brands particularly are probably just thinking the importance of actually treating people right, and really offering value, because, you know, coming out the other side of this, if you've got a loyal customer base, you know, the brands that have survived this are the ones with the loyal customer base. And you only get that loyal customer base by doing all the little things right. You know, if the sort of brand is the promise that you make to your customers, then I think maybe there's been some lessons learned. And there are quite a few examples of businesses that really haven't treated people that well and have kind of been out to do a bit of a kind of land grab or, you know, whatever. And I think those pigeons are going to come home to roost.
Yeah, interesting that so what you're saying is actually that the opportunity there is to spend more time understanding and focusing on that ladder of loyalty and that customer loyalty, and really engaging with it.
I think a lot of businesses, especially in the entertainment industry as well, have to realize that people have been home for so long, and actually a lot of them have probably gotten used to having really good cocktails and being really comfortable in the warmth, and now that we have to go outside and we have to wear masks and we're met with quite like hectic bouncers who like shout at you if you're not wearing your masks, and people
is this a personal experience by any chance?
Like, they have to adapt and realize they've got to make it a bit more special when people are actually coming out of lockdown to go and
the experience.
The experience
well. I mean, people are going to be craving an experience, you know, as much as it is nice saving a bit of money, staying at home, you know, drinking your mail order cocktails or beers and you know, preparing your food, and people are going to be craving an experience. So there's the opportunity for businesses now, is how can we, I mean, obviously it depends on exactly what line of work you're in, but almost how can we make this more of an experience to actually engage people?
Yeah, it's interesting because that experience thing has been bubbling away for a while, hasn't it? So you've got things out there like, you know, the darts pub in London, which is pure about darts, and you've got all these experiential pubs out there, you know, hospitality venues. So you're kind of saying the pandemic, if anything, has accelerated or accentuated or illuminated that further.
Yeah, I think
across a number of different, a number of different industries and disciplines, really.
And technology adoption that would sort of tie in with that. The experience doesn't necessarily have to be a kind of come along to our venue and experience. It could be more of a, well, they've been doing lots of things with, like, live streaming opera. I just think, like, there's huge opportunity.
Just thinking outside the box, I guess.
Look at Elton John. He's got his thingy party, and it's getting all done over Zoom or over the net and ticket only and everything else. So he doesn't even need to leave his home now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably quite.
What was that?
I think he's probably quite pleased with that.
I think he's delighted. So, what are you both looking forward to the most now that things are returning to normal?
No, that's
Travel.
Yeah.
Travel. Yeah, we were talking before kind of lockdown about potential, because Cassie's from South Africa originally and has worked in Australia and the States, and definitely got those sort of like itchy kind of travel feet. And we were talking, sunshine and lifestyle, and so we were talking about, well, because we already were doing things like video conferencing, and because a lot of our clients are all over the place. Like we've got clients in the States and Italy and kind of all over, so we were quite used to video conferencing and stuff. So we'd already got to the point where we were thinking, well, we don't have to be here in Suffolk. We could literally be anywhere if we've got an internet connection and a mobile phone. So we kind of did have plans for, well, we could leverage the family connections in South Africa, maybe set up a second office over there, like in Cape Town, divide our time, get the lifestyle, get the work-life balance, all these things that people crave for, like mental health and everything. And it just felt like, with the opportunities right there, it's kind of fallen into our laps. And then pandemic. So who knows when travel is sort of next going to be kind of possible or kind of easy, but that's definitely.
I was going to say Scotland, but then you said sunshine and lifestyle. I thought, nah, so she should not be to Scotland, did she?
My mum's actually from Scotland originally.
Is she? Cool.
Lived in South Africa, so.
Whereabouts in Scotland is she from?
Edinburgh,
right, okay. I'm from Glasgow, so we got on really well with Edinburgh people. History there. There's a bit of history. So that's Cass. Is that what you're both looking forward to, travel, or is that what you're looking forward to, Cass?
Well, I think both of us.
I think probably. Well, we both definitely are, but the one who's most vocal about it
is Cass. Right. Great. Look, just to sort of tie things up, is there anything you'd like to say or share with any of your customers or any of your prospective customers?
I think probably just sort of echoing what we touched upon earlier, really, with the importance of just being really good at what you do, and looking after people and giving that good experience, and whatever product or service it is that you're putting out into the world, make it the best it can possibly be. Like, there's no shortcuts to like what we do on the marketing side. I mean, we're more design based, but we do a lot of marketing, and it sometimes feels like clients want this kind of magic wand of like, is there something you guys can just do with like SEO or whatever, and suddenly bring all these customers and sales in. And it's like, well, there are no shortcuts. So we've got, I don't know if you're picking up, there's a new puppy in the house and someone's ringing the doorbell. It's like this perfect storm of disruption. But maybe
the person at the door is not going to stop. So
no, well, maybe this is the final thought, like being adaptable, being like whatever gets thrown at you, you've just got to cope with it.
Yeah, Joe.
I think just, looking after your customers, and being there for them, because even coming through the other end of the lockdown, people are still going to kind of want to know that you're there and you're there to help and support them. So, it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment about being authentic, but I think, it's one of those annoying words that has become a bit of a buzzword, but it's 100% accurate. You have to be authentic. So yeah, just kind of, I guess, think about what you can do for others rather than what people can do for you.
Yeah, great piece of advice. Look, it's been absolutely, I know Cass has left us for a minute and she'll be back in a second. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you guys today. Your story is yeah, it's inspirational, because you've taken a negative situation, you've found an opportunity, you've adapted, give something back, and it. What was that, Cass? Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, no, it's absolutely fine. And out the other end of that has come quite a lot of success, where you're now in a position that you're looking to recruit and grow your business further. So there's a fantastic story there with some great nuggets for business people, no matter what discipline they're in terms of, you know, what they should be doing. You know, go out there with what you can give to others rather than what they can give to you. Also about, you know, the authentic piece and the experiential piece, and really focusing behind that to make your business stand out. You know, almost become a bit of a marketing word here, the purple sheep in the field of white ones. You know, to use that to your advantage. So some great content there for you know, business owners all over the place. So thank you very much for that.